Hello, and welcome to the Power Play on Ukraine update, where we cut through the geopolitical noise with a sharp blade of truth. I'm Sarah Thompson, and today we're diving into the so-called no-limits friendship between Russia and China, a partnership that's looking more like a high-stakes poker game where both players are bluffing. Behind the toasts and handshakes, there's a hidden war of espionage, mistrust, and cold, hard calculations. Let's unpack this uneasy alliance and see who's really holding the cards. Buckle up, this one's a wild ride. On the surface, Moscow and Beijing are the best of buddies. Putin and Xi clink glasses, talk about a new world order, and parade their unbreakable bond for the cameras. It's like watching two schoolyard bullies team up to look tough. But don't be fooled. This friendship is about as warm as a Siberian winter. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Suspicion, betrayal, and a quiet scramble for the upper hand. Leaked FSB documents, yes, Russia's own spy agency, paint a grim picture. They call China a serious threat and even an enemy. That's right, folks. While Putin's preaching eternal brotherhood, his own security services are sweating bullets over China's true intentions. So, what's really going on here? Let's start with the digital battlefield. If you thought allies don't spy on each other, think again. China's hackers have been prowling through Russia's networks like wolves in a henhouse. According to the New York Times, since May 2022, Beijing-linked groups have repeatedly targeted Russian companies and government agencies. They're not just poking around, they're after military secrets, from nuclear submarines to satellite tech and radar systems. Get this. Moscow and Beijing had a public pact not to engage in cyber espionage against each other. Apparently, that promise is worth less than a ruble in a Moscow street market. Chinese hackers even posed as Russian defense contractors to siphon off sensitive data. This isn't what friends do, it's what rivals do in a cloak-and-dagger game of intelligence. And it's not just cyber shenanigans. The FSB's secret reports, dating back to 2023 to 2024, reveal Moscow's growing paranoia. They know China's playing them, fishing for military know-how while smiling for the photo ops. It's like inviting your neighbor over for tea, only to catch them rifling through your safe. Here's where it gets juicier. The moment Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, China's spies kicked into high gear. They've been recruiting everyone from Russian scientists to journalists, trying to get the inside scoop on Moscow's war plans, Western reactions, and even the performance of NATO weapons in Ukraine. Why? Because Beijing's studying Putin's playbook like a student cramming for finals, learning from Russia's stumbles to sharpen its own military edge. China's also eyeing Russia's tech. Think aviation, air defense systems, and even Wagner Group's mercenary tactics. That's right. Beijing's taking notes on how Russia uses hired guns in places like Ukraine and Africa, likely planning to build its own shadow armies for global influence. It's like China's sitting in the back of the class, copying Russia's homework, while plotting to outshine them. But the real kicker? Leaked reports suggest China's laying the groundwork for territorial ambitions. The Russian Far East and the Arctic, regions packed with untapped resources, are on Beijing's radar. Moscow's FSB is quietly freaking out, suspecting Xi's got his eyes on Siberia's riches and Arctic shipping routes. For now, it's just whispers. But in geopolitics, whispers can turn into war cries. Let's talk money, or rather, how China's squeezing Russia dry. With Western sanctions choking Moscow's economy, Putin's pivot to the east has turned into a desperate bear hug with Beijing. But this embrace comes at a cost. China's buying Russian oil and gas at fire sale prices, exploiting Russia's isolation like a shark smelling blood. In 2023, Russia became China's top oil supplier, shipping over 100 million tons. Sounds like a win, right? Wrong. Russian oil was sold at massive discounts, up to $8.50 per barrel below global prices. Reuters estimates China saved $4.3 billion just by snapping up cheap Russian crude. That's not a partnership. That's a yard sale, where Russia's the one clearing out its garage. And don't get me started on the power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline. Putin's been begging for this deal since 2006, hoping to replace lost European markets. But Xi's playing hardball, delaying the project and demanding better terms. Why rush? China knows Russia's desperate, so they're milking the situation for all it's worth. It's like watching a chess master toy with a rookie. The financial side is just as grim. Russian officials love to brag about switching to yuan-based trade, but China's banks aren't exactly rolling out the red carpet. Fearing U.S. sanctions, major Chinese banks have slashed ties with Russian counterparts. Some Russian companies are paying up to 12% in fees just to move money to China through shady middlemen. By mid-2024, after Washington cracked the whip, 98% of Chinese banks reportedly stopped processing Russian payments. Small burner banks on the border kept things afloat, but even those are under fire. The result? Chinese exports to Russia dropped 13 to 16% in early 2024. So much for unlimited support. China's looking out for number one, and Russia's just a pawn in their game. So where does this leave the Russia-China bromance? It's a marriage of convenience, and the honeymoon's long over. China wants Russia weak but not dead, strong enough to distract the West, weak enough to stay dependent. Beijing's getting cheap resources, military insights, and a geopolitical buffer without risking its own neck. For Russia, it's a slow slide into vassal status. With China dominating over 30% of Russia's trade, Moscow is becoming little more than a raw materials supplier, a gas station with nukes. The FSB's own reports admit it. China's a threat, not a savior. Yet Putin's too deep in this gamble to back out. Looking ahead, there are a few paths. 1. Russia fully submits, becoming China's junior partner, pumping oil and gas, while Beijing calls the shots. 2. Tensions boil over, maybe over the Far East or Central Asia, where China's already flexing its muscles. Or 3. They keep this uneasy dance going, all smiles and no trust, until one side blinks. Spoiler alert, it won't be China. The West, meanwhile, is watching closely. The U.S. and its allies are ready to exploit this fracture. Tightening sanctions to keep Beijing in check. Trump or no Trump, the message is clear. China can play with Russia, but cross the line and the hammer drops. This so-called no-limits friendship is a house of cards built on lies, espionage, and unequal deals. China's playing a long game, and Russia's the one getting played. It's a masterclass in geopolitical backstabbing, and the Kremlin's learning the hard way. There are no friends in this game, only interests. That's it for this week's The Power Play. If you want to keep up with the real stories behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for Ukraine update. Support us on Patreon, link in the description, to help us keep bringing you the unfiltered truth. And check out NVPN to bypass censorship and stay connected. Thanks for watching, stay sharp, and we'll see you next time.